trenches. It's time for Renegades of Puck TV. Welcome to the bunker. Welcome to the essence of No Half Steppin'. I'm your host and captain, Crazy Charlie Saunier, and before we get started with the playoff edition of the No Half Steppin' hockey coverage, let me direct you to our home website, renegadesofpuck.com. Once you go to renegadesofpuck.com, you'll learn everything you need to know about the Renegades of Puck, and once you click on that merchandise tab, you will, of course, see the classic logo t-shirt. You'll see our Pride logo t-shirt, and you'll see over 50 items with our logo on it. That's right, socks, throw pillows, wall art. It does not matter to the Renegades of Puck. We've sold out so that you can buy in. We sure would appreciate anyone purchasing any of our merchandise. Social media is critically important to this operation. Now we're just through one regular season and starting our first postseason run, and we sure would appreciate a little bit of support. Always plenty of room for more Renegades in the trenches, and we sure do appreciate those new subscribers that we have online. So once you see these links on YouTube, please go ahead and take them and share them on your Facebook page. If Facebook is not your preferred platform for social media, then please go to Twitter. Give us a follow on Twitter at Renegades of Puck, and then each of the individual Renegades of Puck, and then go ahead and retweet, like, and pass those links around on Twitter. We are also available on Instagram for you to consume the essence of No Half Steppin'. And now you can find the Renegades of Puck audio-only podcast on Spotify and within the coming days everywhere that you look for podcasts. So we are very excited to be partnering with Broken Controller Media and also to be partnering with some other incredible things that we'll be able to tell you about here very soon. But Spotify, Apple Music, you will be able to find the Renegades of Puck in all of these locations, plus all of the locations that you're already familiar with. You can find us on Twitch. That's our behind-the-scenes live stream, and we sure do have a lot of fun over there. We're building a solid community. We do plug-to-plug broadcasts during the regular season, but during the playoffs, in the essence to get the show out as quickly as possible, we went ahead and set the studio up early, and we came in here and we sat down. We did a little prep with the Renegades of Puck right there on our Twitch stream. It's not pretty. It's real broadcasting, and it shows you exactly what goes on behind the scenes here at the show. So we'd appreciate if you give us a follow over there on Twitch. You can also become a partner of the Renegades of Puck by going to Venmo or just scanning the QR code that is currently on your screen. We sure would appreciate any donations there at Renegades of Puck. It means a lot to us, and every dollar donated to the show goes directly to helping with investments here at the bunker. Whether it's upgrading our equipment or it's advertising purposes, every single dollar that comes in goes out in a positive way to help build the Renegades of Puck up. Built by Renegades for Renegades, we couldn't do this without your assistance. Now, I know that you're here for the No Half Steppin' hockey coverage, so it is time for me to deliver the goods. It's operation number 647 for the Renegades of Puck. That is right, show number 647, and we're talking about the NHL playoffs, and we have a whole lot to talk about on this date in hockey history. We are just 2 days into the tournament, and every single one of the 8 series has played one game. Let me go ahead and round those out for you, and then we'll start talking a little bit more detailed about some of the games, and of course, we will recap Nashville Predators Colorado Avalanche in full detail coming up here in just a couple of minutes. The Carolina Hurricanes defeated the Boston Bruins in Game 1 of that series 5-1. Toronto 5-0 over the Tampa Bay Lightning. Everyone predicting that would easily be the best series of the first round. Well, through Game 1, Toronto with a 5-0 victory. St. Louis shuts out Minnesota 4-0 in Minnesota. And the LA Kings go into Edmonton and score a 4-3 victory to round out the first night of NHL playoff action. On to the second night of NHL playoff action, which ended up being a little bit earlier tonight. Washington defeated Florida in Florida 4-2, and now leads the series 1-0. The Pittsburgh Penguins in 3 overtimes with an incredible story. A third-string goaltender coming in emergency relief. Louis Domingue getting a 4-3 victory in the triple overtime. Pittsburgh wins at MSG and leads that series 1-0. Colorado defeated Nashville 7-2. We'll recap that in full detail coming up momentarily. Colorado leads the series 1-0. And just going final, the Calgary Flames shut out the Dallas Stars 1-0. Calgary on home ice takes the victory and now leads the series 1-0. Wednesday resets the first night of action. We'll see Boston at Carolina for Game 2. We'll see Tampa Bay at Toronto for Game 2. St. Louis is in Minnesota for Game 2. LA is at Edmonton for Game 2. And then, of course, on Thursday, we will see the same schedule that we saw tonight. Pittsburgh at the New York Rangers for Game 2, Washington and Florida for Game 2, the Preds and the Avalanche in Game 2, and Dallas is at Calgary. And that wraps up your schedule for the next couple of days. We'll, of course, be back on the air Thursday night after the Preds and the Avalanche Game 2. We'll be recapping the entire Western Conference, Eastern Conference, and NHL playoff matchups and bracket. So we appreciate each and every one of you for jumping in the trenches with the Renegades of Puck right here on Renegades of Puck TV. We are extremely excited to be here. We are extremely excited to be talking all things National Hockey League playoffs. Now, let's get back and talk about the Nashville Predators in Game 1 of their series. I promised you a full game recap. Now, let's take care of that. You give me 10 minutes, I'll give you the entire game. It's now time for the Rebirth Sports full game recap. Rebirth Sports. You can find them online at rebirthsports.com, or you can check out their work on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. They're not just jersey makers, they're hockey tailors, and they can make your visions a reality. Please check out Rebirth Sports and see what they can do for your hockey operation today. You've seen me wearing the home jersey, the road jersey, and the third jersey here in the bunker, but you've also seen me wearing so many other jerseys created by Rebirth Sports, whether that is in charity events for the Wish Cup or it's the United States Pond Hockey Championships on Lake Nokomis in Minnesota. Everywhere I go, everywhere I skate, those threads look better than everyone else's, and everyone always wants to know where I got them. Conversation simple. Rebirth Sports. Find out what they can do for your hockey operation today. Now, let's go back and talk about Game 1 of the Nashville Predators and the Colorado Avalanche that took place on May the 3rd of the year 2022, and John Hines deployed his lines in the following way. Cunnins, Johansson, and Tomasino, Forsberg, Granlund, and Duchesne, Trennan, Sissons, and Janot, better known as the Herd line, Cousins, McCarron, and Olivier, which means Eli Tolvanen is not in the lineup for Game 1 of the playoff series. After being told that he had done everything right all season long, he is rewarded by getting bench time and not playing in Game 1 of the playoff series. Yossi and Fabro at Coleman, Carey, Borowiecki, and Benning make up your defensive pairings, and Dave Riddick gets the start in net for the Nashville Predators in Game 1, and just 17 seconds in, he's already having come up with a huge save on Rantanen. 1 minute and 11 seconds in, Riddick comes up with another save on Manson in tight range. 2:08, McCarron off the box, 2 minutes 4, high sticking. This happened during a scrum after the whistle, and this is not only an avoidable penalty, this is an absolute asinine penalty to take right here. A high sticking penalty long after a play is over in a scrum that was absolutely meaningless. McCarron puts his team in a bad situation, and McKinnon makes sure it's even worse. With his first goal of the playoffs, giving the Colorado Avalanche a 1-0 lead. It was a wrist shot from the right circle. Immediately after Colorado won the face-off to begin the power play, they put the puck into the net. At 2:42, Taves is on the board with his first of the season. Now it's a 2-0 game. He slips right past everyone at the blue line, accepts a pass, and just drives right into the net and scores. This was simply too easy. The Nashville Predators are not even awake yet in Game 1 of this playoff series, but that doesn't even matter because they're down 2-0. 4:55, Roman Josi gets a light backhander, and it's stopped by Kemper. It's the first shot on goal by the Nashville Predators, and not a very good one. 6:47, Taves off the box, 2 minutes 4, roughing, and we see Cogliano scoring for Colorado, making it 3-0, a shorthanded goal, as Matthias Ekholm was just weaving around in his own zone, just dipsy-doodling around, and just suddenly turns the puck over right in the slot in front of his own goaltender. That puck's in the back of the net in just an instant. Just a play that cannot happen at any time of the year. It definitely cannot happen in the playoffs. So we go to 12:15 in the first period. Makar's first goal of the season makes it 4-0. First goal of the playoffs, makes it 4-0 in favor of Colorado. He just goes right down the left side, walks by everyone as Carrier's trying to pick up his stick that he had dropped. He banks the puck off of Riddick's head and into the net. That was a Norris-style rush to the net. Makar, first goal of the playoffs, makes it 4-0. But at 15:04, Lekkonen's first goal of the playoffs makes it 5-0. Another situation where a player slips right behind a sleepy D for an easy score. At this point in time, Riddick's out of the game. Probably should have been out of the game already. Probably should have utilized timeout, but she did not do that. 5 goals against on 13 shots. Connor Ingram gets the opportunity to come on in and play a little hockey. 15:56 of the first period. Tomasino's off to the box. 2 minutes 4, high sticking. Ingram, strong work on the PK. We hit the end of the first period, and Colorado outshoots Nashville 17-6 and has a 5-0 lead. Renegades of Puck, we have talked about some pretty terrible periods of hockey in the history of this franchise, but I am here to tell you that this is the worst period in Nashville Predators franchise history. Recency bias, hyperbolic? No. This is the worst period in Nashville Predators franchise history. They knew what they were going in. They were going up against the number one seed in the Western Conference, and they were very familiar with the Colorado Avalanche. They just played them recently, and they went in there and sleepwalked right through the first period of this game. It was absolutely abysmal. I go to the second period in a clean sheet because I'm a pro and I keep covering the game. 46 seconds in, Ingram comes up with a save on Kadri off of the rush. 3:32, Ingram's got another save on Manson. 6:41, Kemper comes up with a save on Sissons. The Preds finally getting a shot on goal in that period. 8:43, Ingram comes up with a save on Landeskog at 11:08. Kemper comes up with another save. Colton Sissons, a couple scoring opportunities here in this period. And then we see at 11:08, Kemper, 13:10, Trennan's off to the box, 2 minutes for roughing, and then at 14:04, the Preds pick up a penalty, too many men on the ice. That makes it a 5-on-3 for a total of 107, and that's when we see Landeskog cashing in with his first goal of the playoffs. It was a rebound jam. As a matter of fact, he didn't even have to put the puck to the net, as Borowiecki ended up, as he was flailing around trying to prevent the puck from getting into the net, ends up kicking the puck into the net. Colorado now has a 6-goal lead on home ice in Game 1 of the playoffs. 16:02, Kadri's off the box, 2 minutes for holding. 18:32, Bowen's off the box, 2 minutes for cross-checking. And Matt Duchene ends the shutout, at least for the Colorado Avalanche. It was a rebound put back after Yossi's long shot from straight away, right back into an empty net. No problem for Matt Duchene right here. It's now 6-1 in favor of the Colorado Avalanche. Colorado Avalanche are out shooting Nashville after 2 periods, 28-17. At the 20-minute mark or after the buzzer of the second period, we would see Manson pick up 2 minutes for roughing. We would also see a couple of misconducts given out at this time. We head to the third period, and we're 6:03 into the third period. McKinnon's second goal of the playoffs gives the Colorado Avalanche a 7-1 lead in this game. It was a long bomb through traffic, and it didn't seem like Ingram ever had a chance on it. 7:23, Trennan off the box, 2 minutes for tripping. And I made this notation because you would think in a 7-1 hockey game, you would think the Colorado Avalanche would be pulling the chute, would be pulling back, and that the Nashville Predators would be getting some, additional offense and maybe a couple of garbage goals here towards the end. But through 10 minutes in the third period, the Colorado Avalanche are out shooting the Nashville Predators 11-1. That's right, the Nashville Predators, even with a Colorado Avalanche that's not pushing any longer, are still only to generate one shot on goal. Matt Duchene at 12:26 picks up his second goal of the game, second goal of the playoffs. It was a partial breakaway that was sprung by Benning. Benning involved in a lot of things tonight in this game. Duchene's second goal is scored as the crowd is chanting, "Duchene sucks." It's raining down, and he's putting the puck in the back of the net. It's 7-2, so that's a garbage goal right there. 15:54, Olivier and Landeskog off the box, 2 minutes for roughing. Olivier picks up 10 additional minutes for just being dumb. As he was being escorted off the ice towards the bench area, he just grabbed Kadri by the head and tried to start a second altercation. I wouldn't be surprised if that comes back to haunt him here after this night is over. Johansson and Makar also go off the box, 2 minutes each at 16:45, and that's it. There's no more reason to take any more notes. The Colorado Avalanche win this game 7-2. They outshoot the Nashville Predators 45-25, and for the Nashville Predators, it's simple. Now you have to find a way to win 4 out of 6 games against the number one seed in the Western Conference in a game that you absolutely were blown out of the rink. You did not look like you even played in the same league as the Colorado Avalanche. Now, the optimist says that's one game, and the Nashville Predators can rebound, can come out in game 2. They can still earn the split. They can come on home with home ice advantage in the playoffs and a best of 5 to look ahead. But after the first period tonight, it's hard to be an optimist about anything with this Nashville Predators team going forward against Colorado Avalanche. The pessimist, it's even easier right there. For the pessimist, the series is already over, and it was over before the end of the first period. I don't think the series is completely over yet, but the Nashville Predators certainly are going to have an incredibly difficult time finding a way to climb back into this series. You start by coming out with a much stronger opening shift performance in game 2. I didn't see the identity, I didn't see the physical nature of the Nashville Predators, and I certainly didn't see a game plan that was designed to counter the speed and the neutral zone play of the Colorado Avalanche. The Nashville Predators simply looked like they were unprepared, looked like they were inexperienced, looked like they had never seen Colorado on tape or live before, and frankly, it took the head coach and the coaching staff entirely too long to react in the first period once he saw how poorly things were going. Why wasn't the timeout utilized? Why wasn't the goaltender changed earlier? These are things we're going to talk about through the analysis portion, and that's coming up next right here on Renegades of Puck TV. So you give us 10 more minutes, and we'll give you all the analysis, opinions, stats, and everything you need to know about this game. Big save Dave Riddick in this game. He did get the start because in the tryouts at the end of the season for the Nashville Predators, it turns out Dave Riddick had the better performance, and Connor Ingram was simply abysmal against the Arizona Coyotes. For the Nashville Predators, there really wasn't a great option starting in this game, but you go with the veteran in this one, and Dave Riddick, this was not all his fault. The numbers are just terrible, but his numbers have been terrible all season long. He had a record of 6-3-4, a save percentage of .886, and a 3.57 goals against average in the regular season, so it's not really a shock to see him go 8 of 13 and be pulled in this game against one of the most dynamic offenses in the entire NHL, but it was not all his fault. The number of players just slipping behind the D, just untouched, and being able to do whatever they want. The Cale Makar being able to just walk right down to the goal line and just put the puck off of Riddick's head. I mean, it's just simply unacceptable by the Nashville Predators. It doesn't matter who was in goal tonight. You could have had every Vezina winner combined in history out there tonight for the Nashville Predators, and they wouldn't have had a chance in this game. It doesn't matter who your goalie is if you play like shit in front of them from start to finish in a hockey game. So Connor Ingram came in, and he did okay. His numbers officially 30 out of 32. He certainly faced plenty of shots on goal, and I anticipate he will get the start in Game 2 coming up for the Nashville Predators. I think he gives them a better option to come away with a victory, and Connor Ingram was the starting goaltender in Milwaukee, so he has plenty more game action recently. Big save Dave just simply doesn't look like he was prepared, nor did the Nashville Predators look like they were prepared to be in that game in any way, shape, or form tonight. Monstradamus is here in the trenches talking about all things goaltending. If it's between the pipes, it's well within his realm. So I'm going to kick it over to him. You can find him on Twitter at GreekGoalie35. You can watch him right here on Renegades of Puck TV.
Thank you very much, Charlie. In the matter of waiting for the Preds game to start, I ran into an instant classic game up in Madison Square Garden, but I'll get to that in a second. Most of you guys are here to talk about the Preds. That's fine. I'll get to that right now. That game fucking sucked. End of story. David Riddick had zero help in there. I know a lot of people were already chirping at me saying, oh, well, Sars was in there. It may have been different. No. It was abysmal. They should be ashamed of themselves for that first period, giving up 5 goals. That was absolutely atrocious and really just unacceptable, to say the least, by the Nashville Predators. That first period, why bother showing up if you're going to play like that? It was abysmal. It was hard to watch. I flipped back over to the Rangers-Penguins game because that was actually playoff hockey. The Predators were ill-prepared to play this game. John Hines didn't call a timeout. He didn't pull David Riddick until 5 goals were given up. It was absolutely just difficult to watch a team that's worked so hard and overachieved this season to play like that to start their playoff run. So what I predicted would happen. David Riddick out there first, will start the series. Connor Ingram likely to finish the series out. Didn't think it would be after 1 period, of course, or even less than a period. But Connor Ingram is going to be your Game 2 starter. If he does not, that is coaching malpractice by John Hines if Connor Ingram does not get the start in Game 2 the way he performed tonight in relief. Now, up in Madison Square Garden, a fascinating game, an instant classic between the Penguins and the Rangers. Triple overtime winner by Evgeny Malkin. The goaltending duel, I mentioned it on the last show, is Casey DeSmith versus Igor Shesterkin, the hands-down winner of the Vezina Trophy. Shesterkin, 79 saves on 83 shots on the night and takes the loss on top of that. An absolutely magnificent performance by him. Second most saves all time in the NHL for a single game in his second ever playoff start. His only other playoff start 2 years ago up in the bubble in Toronto when he lost to the Carolina Hurricanes. Gave up 3 goals and 30 shots in that game. 79 shots he stopped out of 83, and he gets the tough luck loss. On the other end, Casey DeSmith was admirable. He was right there with him, didn't face as many shots, stopped 48 out of 51. And then halfway through the second overtime, Casey DeSmith comes up limp. He made an awkward save earlier in that sequence, made a glove save, went down awkwardly on his stomach. Gimpy off the ice. In comes Louis Domingue, of all people, comes in. Now they're a third-string goaltender. He comes in as the closer, basically. He makes 17 out of 17 saves and gets the victory in triple overtime over Igor Shesterkin. Just a fascinating game up in New York at Madison Square Garden. Charlie and I, long ties to the New York Rangers. Hard luck loss for the Rangers, but that's what goaltending can do for you in the playoffs. The Rangers probably didn't deserve to win that game despite being up 2-0 and never trailed really in this game until the triple overtime game winner. But Igor Shesterkin, that just tells you what a goaltender can do for you. They probably didn't deserve to win. They didn't win, but he gives them a chance on every single night they go out there to get a victory in the playoffs. That's why this Rangers team is so difficult to play against. Penguins finally get a W against Shesterkin. It's been a little while since they beat him, and he has been absolutely phenomenal. Again, hands down winner of the Vezina Trophy this season. Igor Shesterkin. Who is he going to play in Game 2 against the Pittsburgh Penguins? Louis Domingue versus Igor Shesterkin seems like a mismatch. Time will tell what happens in Game 2 of that series. Predators, Game 2, Connor Ingram. There's already been a ton of goalie changes and a lot of goalie controversy. Who to start? Minnesota and St. Louis have goalie controversies. Who's going to start which games? What does Minnesota do with Marc-Andre Fleury? All kinds of goaltender news going around the league. I'm here to cover that for you guys. Charlie, back to you.
You can find him on Twitter at GreekGoalie35, and we sure do appreciate Nostradamus' breakdown of Igor Shesterkin's performance at Madison Square Garden. Preds fans across the nation got screwed by the ESPN broadcast. The Pittsburgh Penguins and the New York Rangers had a fascinating game at Madison Square Garden that went to a triple overtime, but that overlapped with the Nashville Predators to the point where if you had recorded the game on ESPN and you had planned to sit down and watch it on tape delay, or if perhaps you didn't get that alternative feed that ESPN was providing, you got screwed out of watching the Nashville Predators tonight, and that's something that simply cannot happen with ESPN. I know the first round logistically can be difficult with 4 games per night, but if you're going to stack them back-to-back like you did, you have to have a better plan than putting it on a platform that most people do not have. And you also have to be better about how you handle it. So I appreciate Nostradamus being outside of the Nashville area, but being able to still break down one incredible goaltending performance tonight in Igor Shesterkin for the New York Rangers at Madison Square Garden. That truly was otherworldly stuff to see. What a tough way to take a loss for the New York Rangers at home with the goaltending performance like that. Strong Style Fitness, incredible partners here of the Renegades of Puck. We sure do appreciate Strong Style Fitness for jumping in the trenches with the Renegades of Puck. Over 150 workouts by a certified personal trainer on YouTube, so that means they are on demand and the service is totally donation-based. That's right. Strong Style Fitness has made their entire catalog available to the Renegades of Puck completely for free via YouTube. So we would appreciate it if you would go to strongstylefit.com, or if you would go to social media and give a follow on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, and give Strong Style Fitness a little bit of love. Whether it's your first stretch or you're throwing iron like a pro, it's time to get off the couch, Renegades, and get the work done. A happy Renegade and a healthy Renegade's the same thing, and I need you guys in the fight for the long haul. So take advantage of this opportunity right here with Strong Style Fitness. Have to tell you, this game for the Nashville Predators, I've been covering this team a very long time. That was embarrassing to cover this first period tonight. It was embarrassing to watch, and I would anticipate within the room and within the heads of each and every one of those players, they also felt quite a bit of shame and embarrassment. Showing up for the playoffs and putting up a performance like that where you give up 5 goals against in the first period and frankly never, ever, ever had an opportunity to compete in this game. It was predicted that you would get washed out of the rink and out of the playoffs in 4 games by many pundits out there, but in the NHL, you're supposed to have a fighting chance. At least when you show up. The Nashville Predators did not do that. They were not ready to play. They did not bring their identity. Where was the physical play? Where was making sure that those high-skilled, fast forwards weren't going to be able to get through the neutral zone, weren't going to be able to just drive down to the net and put the puck in the net? Why weren't their D paying a price in the end of their zone when the Nashville Predators' hard forecheck was there? Where was the Nashville Predators' identity? The only way the Nashville Predators can defeat the Colorado Avalanche is by coming out and being extremely physical with them and making sure that they dominate in the high-danger areas. That certainly did not happen in this game. So that was absolutely terrible for the Nashville Predators. Again, I take the positive string and I pull on it. You get the next game, you win it, you have a 1-1 split on the road, it's a best-of-5 series going forward, and you have home ice advantage as an 8 seed in the Western Conference playoff. Let's find out what Sean C. Smith has for analysis on this game and on the Nashville Predators on the playoffs at large. You can find him on Twitter at SCSOTF. You can see he's working on the forecheck.com. He's up right now. on Renegades of Puck TV.
Thanks, Charlie. Hey, Renegades, it's Sean C. Smith, and we're going to talk about Game 1. Now, you've already heard from Mosh about the goalie situation, so I'm not going to get into it, but I do want to talk about the rest of the team. First off, I'm going to say this. All of those articles you've seen in the lead up to this playoff series that talked about the ways that the Predators could win the series all talked about one thing, and that was that the Predators needed to go out and play to their identity, and if they played their identity to a T against the Colorado Avalanche, they would be forcing the Avalanche to play a style of game that they didn't want to play. And the Predators came out and pretty much did the exact opposite of that. They allowed Colorado to do pretty much whatever they wanted out there, and I'm going to be quite honest with you, it didn't seem like the Predators were too worried about defending their own net, much less putting any pressure on Kemper over on the Colorado side. One of the things I saw that really irritated me early on in this game was the Predators finally, occasionally, gaining access to the offensive zone and firing a shot from the blue line and getting the heck out of there as quickly as possible. Now, sometimes you can excuse this saying, look, it was the end of a shift, they needed to get off the ice, but you looked at the end of the first period with very few shots on net for the Predators, and that's because when they did have opportunities, they didn't take them. And even sometimes when they did gain access to the zone, it didn't seem like they even waited for all five of the other players to get in there before they were already backing away, refusing to forecheck, and preparing to just defend the Avalanche. And that's exactly what the Avalanche wanted them to do. They wanted them to play their style of game. But it was pointed out on Twitter by Brad Miller that one of the best things the Predators could do with the rest of their game was start throwing their weight around, start putting bodies on guys and trying to hurt some people. Now, of course, he wasn't advocating for people to get injured, but you want to finish your checks and you want to do it hard enough that the guys are going to wake up sore the next day. And that's what I've been talking about on this show in the lead up to the playoffs, is that Game 1 probably isn't going to go your way. Game 2 might not even go your way. But if you're playing the right style of game, if you're playing the style of hockey that the Predators have played all season, by the time the third or fourth, maybe even the fifth game rolls around, they're going to be worn down. And that's exactly what you saw the Predators do, especially during the third period and even toward the end of the second. You saw them start to get physical. And no, there weren't glove-dropping fights, but there was a lot of hitting. There was a lot of physicality, and you saw the Avalanche get drawn into a style of game that they're not used to playing, they're not comfortable playing, and that they definitely don't want to play for every game throughout this playoff series. You saw them get drawn into taking stupid, undisciplined penalties. You saw them getting into their emotions, and you saw that the Predators were able to exploit that because, as I've said, pretty much after or before every game this season, that's the kind of game the Predators want to play. That's the kind of game the Predators have been playing. That's what makes the Predators feel like they're doing the right things on the ice. And when they started doing that, the Avalanche slowed down. And when the Avalanche slows down, they get thrown off their game. And when the Avalanche gets thrown off their game, which they haven't had happen to them too much this season, they get angry. And when they get angry, it doesn't work very well. It's kind of like Bruce Banner said when he finally figured out how to control the Hulk. It's because I'm always angry. You see, the Predators, they play with a lot of physicality, but they're not playing angry. They're used to playing in that style without being upset, without getting into their emotions. When another team can get into the Predators' heads, that's when they have problems. But it's not likely to happen because of the Avalanche. And it didn't really seem to happen because the Avalanche put up a touchdown on the Predators either. They managed to stay pretty calm, and they managed to get the Avalanche thrown off their game by the end of the third period. I'm looking forward to the second game. Even though I don't know who's going to start that game, I feel like it's going to be a different team coming out on the ice regardless of who's between the pipes. And I guarantee you, after they saw proof positive in that last period that that approach can work, it's going to happen from the beginning of the game all the way through to the end. The results are probably going to be a little bit different. I'm not going to say that the Predators are going to win the second game, but I guarantee you by the time the Avalanche come into Nashville, some of them will think twice about going toe-to-toe or even going into those dangerous areas against the Predators. Charlie, that's all I've got from Game 1. I'm going to send it back over to you.
You can find him on Twitter at SCSOTF. You can check out his work at ontheforecheck.com, and you can watch him right here on Renegades of Puck TV. He's the one and only Sean C. Smith. Stick taps, love, and respect to Sean. Sure to appreciate you jumping in the trenches and helping out this evening. Stripe Digital Solutions is an incredible partner to the Renegades of Puck, and we could not operate without the help and the assistance of Stripe Digital Solutions. Please check out Stripe Digital Solutions at stripedigitalsolutions.com or Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, Stripe Digital Solutions. The logo on the wall behind me, the logo on the crest, renegadesofpuck.com, all of our social media, all of our brand building, all of it takes place with the assistance of Stripe Digital Solutions. In the modern business world, it is nearly impossible to be able to handle each and every one of the things you need to by yourself. So I encourage you, reach out to Stripe Digital Solutions, get a conversation going, and find out exactly how they can help your business today. Brandy has helped my business incredibly. I have seen the results, so I know exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to Stripe Digital Solutions. Check them out today. They are incredible people. Let's go over the box score. Let's talk about some numbers, and let's kick it over to the analytics desk. When it comes to goals, Matt Duchene, 2 goals. The only 2 goals for the Nashville Predators in this game. Kyle Granlund picked up 2 assists. Ryan Johansson picked up an assist. Matt Benning picked up an assist, bringing a partial breakaway. When it comes to shots on goal, the captain Roman Josi led with 5 blocked shots. Tanner Jeannot had 5. Mark Borowiecki also had 5. And in the hits category, Alex Carey led the team in hits with 6. A couple other numbers to throw at you, and that's hits for the game overall. The Nashville Predators with 59 in this game to 47 for Colorado, but it never really felt like the Nashville Predators were physically dominating the Colorado Avalanche in this game. Yes, the hits category and the stats are certainly there, but it never really felt like they were really imposing their will. So when it comes to face-offs, the Nashville Predators are usually much more reliable than this, only winning 30, losing 42 in this game to the Colorado Avalanche. The Senators have to do a better job of this one. The power play. Special teams, of course, is going to be critical at any point in time. The Preds were 1 for 4 on the power play. The Avalanche were 2 out of 5 in block shots. The Preds had 24 block shots, while Colorado had just 12. I want to get some more numbers, so tell me the numbers that I need to know and show me the charts I need to see. The one and only Brian Baston from ontheforecheck.com. He runs the Renegade Analytics desk, and he is up right now.
Thanks a lot, Charlie. Well, Renegades, aren't you glad you stayed up for whatever that was? Nashville Predators were embarrassed in Game 1, losing 7-2 to the Colorado Avalanche, the 2 goals being scored, of course, by former Colorado Avalanche player Matt Duchene, who scored his 44th and 45th goals of the season for Nashville, which is a pretty great stat after his last year. But I want to talk about one thing that actually was a positive and could be a positive going forward, and that's the play of goaltender Connor Ingram, and he is the topic of tonight's one big stat. Connor Ingram came into the game with about 5 minutes left in the first period after David Rittich had a disastrous start. Big Save Dave, as he's been called and may not be called any longer, was in the game for 15 minutes. He faced 13 shots against and allowed 5 goals for a save percentage of 61.5%. Obviously not great, and he was yanked pretty quickly. He can't take all the blame. The defense in front of him, particularly guys like Tanner Jeannot and Matthias Ekholm, were just absolute turnstiles for the first period. But he was pulled for Connor Ingram. Now, as you recall, Connor Ingram, this is going to be his 4th NHL game of his career after spending most of the season in Milwaukee and in the player rehab program. But he came in and made what seemed like a runaway blowout. Well, it still was a runaway blowout, but Ingram only allowed 2 goals over the 45 minutes that he played. And Nashville scored 2 goals in that same period too, so that's highly encouraging. But another thing that's encouraging about his play is just how much he faced after coming in. The Colorado Avalanche did not let up one bit after Rittich was pulled, but Connor Ingram was pretty cool and collected coming in. Obviously, that second goal, the redirection after the Makar blue line shot, he'd probably like to have that one back. But with the things I noticed about Ingram tonight, and of course, I'm not the goalie expert, Mosh is, and you should always listen to him first, but I liked his edge work and his lateral movement, which he's not UC Saros, but not many people are, looked pretty great, and he was reading screens until that second goal pretty well. But he was facing a lot of shots. He faced 32 shots on goal, 46 total shot attempts that were not blocked also against him. So he had to be on his game immediately as he came in. But the Colorado Avalanche, their expected goals against Connor Ingram were 2.64. So he actually allowed less goals than was expected. So he had a positive performance, and I can't imagine that they're going to go back to Rittich at any point in this series. Looking at the way that Connor Ingram played, again, He went 30 for 32 in just 45 minutes and actually finished with a positive amount of goals saved above expected. I know he's just a backup and we can't expect, too much from this young man, but he does look to be the future backup goaltender to UC Soros in the future, as soon as probably next season. And so at least there's some encouraging signs for him as he got some work tonight and hopefully can come in and continue that play in Game 2 on Thursday night.
Let me tell you about Blessed Day Coffee. This is an incredible sponsor. Listen, Renegades of Puck, you got puck drops at 8:30. Game 2 is a puck drop at 8:30. Game 4 is a puck drop at 8:30, and we don't know if any other games are necessary at this point in time. But since you're going to be staying up late, you're going to be getting up early, you're going to need some assistance, and we have a deal for you. Go to blesseddaycoffee.com and check out what Blessed Day Coffee has to offer for you. Either Banner's Blonde Roast or the Ultimate Espresso. Well, you can get 10% off when you order with your code FANGS 2022. You can see the website. You can see the code right there on the screen. FANGS 2022. Get yourself some coffee from Blessed Day Coffee and make sure you are fully prepared for these late night puck drops and also for what you have to do the next morning. Stick taps, love, and respect. We sure do appreciate the Ultimate One, the Ultimate Courtney, and Blessed Day Coffee for jumping in the trenches during the postseason with the Renegades of Puck. Now listen, let's get on out the door here, and there's only one way to do that, and that's just to kick the show over to the Ultimate One. So I'll go ahead and close it out from the bunker. I'm your host and captain, Crazy Charlie Saunier. Stick taps, love and respect. We'll be back in the bunker as soon as Game 2 wraps up, live on Twitch, soon after on YouTube, and across the universe on every other platform right after that. Ulti, say what you gotta say.
I don't know either.